to my fellow classmates, to our advisors, Sir Eric Ronald Bacamella, to the debaters for the opposition side, Ferdinand Partos, Christine Jorko, Gio Alayon, Randy Pardo, Honda Calis Abing, and Matthew Romano. And for the government side, Samson Lemusnero, Jumara Nor, J.B. James Palamine, Julie Flores Santua, Joseph Baluyo Jr., and Alice Padilon. And to our distinguished adjudicators, our school debater club coach, debate enthusiast, and soon-to-be lawyer, Ma'am Sara Consolacion. And to our expert teacher, English teacher, Ma'am Fanny Taduplina. Welcome to the Creighton Maxwell's debate in mathematics. But before we start this debate, let us all rise to put acknowledge to our Lord God through prayer to be led to us by Jezebel Vilima. We're all gathered here today to witness a debate that talks about thus using calculator is advisable to the grade 10 high school students. Several grade 10 students are keen on using calculator in order for them to solve a certain problem easy and fast. Somehow, there are also grade 10 students that are not using calculator, but they're using their critical thinking, intellectual ability to solve a certain problem. For today's debate, each debater will speak for 3 to 5 minutes. After 1 minute, POIs can now be raised. Each POI can be spoken for 15 seconds and 15 seconds interval before another POI be raised. Then, after 1 minute, 1 clap. Then for after 3 minutes, 2 claps. Then 5 minutes, 3 claps. Then 6 minutes, continuous claps. Okay, so I think everyone is started, so let's start this debate. The Creighton Maxwell debate in mathematics.
To our beautiful and respected adjudicator, to my co-classmates, to my co-debaters, as well as to the government and opposite side, to everyone and to our beloved teachers, good morning. Well, standing in front of you, Mr. J.B. James, Palamine, representing as the Prime Minister of the government side, strongly and firmly believes that this House will use calculator for grade 10 mathematics. First and foremost, as the Prime Minister, we will set first the scope and the limitation or the parameter of this debate, and we will use a universal setting, including the foreign country, not just in the Philippines. We will also include not just mathematics but other related subjects such as chemistry and physics. Also, as the government side, we will define the terms that is used in this discussion. First is the calculator as the electronic device which is used for calculation of both basic, arithmetic, and complex mathematics, equation, and calculation.
POI can now be raised.
Next, grade 10 mathematics as the upgraded science of numbers and their operation and their relation, combination, generalization, and abstraction, and of space configuration, and their structure, measurement, transformation, and generalization. For short, it is more of complex calculation. So, at the end of the day, we believe that calculator are beneficial to understand more of the underlying structure of the principle of mathematics. So, to start my arguments, as the calculator proponent, we claim that calculators first is allow students to spend less time on tedious calculation and more time on understanding and solving problems. We also claims that it helps students develop better number sense. It also allows students to study mathematical concepts they could not attempt if they had to perform the related calculation themselves. Also, it allows students who would normally be turned off to math because of frustration or boredom to increase their mathematical understanding. It simplifies also the task while helping students determine the best methods for solving problems. Also, at last, it also makes students more confident about their math abilities. So as the Prime Minister will just discuss here the first and second argument, which is allow students to spend less time on tedious calculation and more time on understanding and solving problems. And also, it helps students for more accuracy. So now, let's proceed to my argument. So, we believe that it is so beneficial to use calculator because of its accuracy. Calculators are fast and are accurate, which makes them a great complementary feature for students. For instance, you have just given limited time to solve a certain problem which is complex, such as computing an algebraic equation. For us as a students, and I believe that it is not of us and not all of us is genius to solve the problem just by our own. So, in order for us to have a better accuracy, calculators are more better device that which helps us to focus on the calculation. Because there are also times that we are given problem and we don't because we don't use calculators. We are just focusing on calculation and we don't focus on how to understand the problem. So that's why we believe that calculators, as what we expect that the opposition will point out that it mentioned that it lessen the ability of the mathematical ability of the students to perform the calculation. But we do believe that it is more useful to use calculators in order to understand more on the underlying structure or principle of mathematics, not just in calculation but also in the related problems involving numbers. Also, as what we can see now, we are on the the modernization of this of the 21st century was arriving because of the advanced technology, and this device was used to bring good than harm. So at the end of the day, we believe that we should use calculator for accuracy, and we believe that calculators are beneficial to better understand more of the underlying structure of mathematical principle. That's all. Thank you. And now I temporarily rest my case.
That was given by the government side about the chemistry and science, because this is not included in our motion. And now, I am Ferlin Curtis, the Prime Minister of the opposition side. This House believes that calculator is not allowed to use by the grade 10 students because human brain has a capacity to solve math problems, especially in us grade 10 students who has the prior knowledge in our previous grade levels. And especially in us who haven't yet encountered the higher mathematics. Since we are in elementary, the teachers taught us the simple operations like adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. The purpose of our mind is to think, especially in mathematics and solving math equation or problems. Using calculator can make a student dependent in all solving that he or she will face. Not all I mentioned earlier is the disadvantage of using calculators, but there are more enough to convince you not to use calculator. Because first of all is the skill of a smart student to solve a math equation will be more useless, or he will be more less of skills, because even though he or she thinks when inputting the numbers in the calculator, he or she would not solving by his own mental ability. Second is, he or she can make mistake in inputting numbers at the calculator. There is a tendency that students can input wrong number and or click the button mistakenly. So the student can get the right answer. And it is so embarrassing student use a device that would that his equation or his calculation would not be in the right answer. And the third is when students use calculator, they didn't know how to solve in actual because they only relying or they only depending on the device. Fourth is there is a tendency that students will forget the formula. What is the purpose of the formula that has made by the mathematicians if we are only relying on that device? As simply as this, the reason why the mathematicians made the formula so that we can be able to solve by our own mental ability and we can solve the math problem easier. Grade 10 students must not use calculator because human brain has a capacity to solve math. Again, I said human brain has a capacity to solve math, especially in us, the graded students who has a prior knowledge and who haven't yet encountered higher mathematics. And that's all I can say, and I will temporarily rest my case.
To my fellow students, to our dear educators, to everyone in this classroom, a pleasant morning. Now, I am Jumaya Pina as the second speaker on the government side, and we do believe that grade 10 students must use calculators in grade 10 mathematics for the reasons that children who use calculators and tests have higher scores in both basic computation skills and problem solving. Students who use calculators within a mix of instructional styles do not lose their paper and pencil skills. Calculator used in the classroom improves the paper and pencil skills of students regardless of their ability levels. Those who use calculators in class have better attitude toward mathematics than children who do not use them. And students who use calculators do not lose or actually 75% of students in a classroom who uses calculators enhances their minds. So now, two offense schools approach calculator used casually and uncritically, while people understand the need for a strategic plan to incorporate computers into the classroom. Often they do not see a similar need for a systematic calculator strategy. All concerned must work together to figure out where the calculator fits into the overall goals of the curriculum and students' need. Using calculators in a classroom in high school has become a divisive issue. While some people think that children should be taught to use calculators from the time they enter school, others feel that learning to use calculators will rob children to ability to do mental calculations. Much of the contentious atmosphere surrounding this issue arises from seeing calculator used in either or situation. Though important, calculators are only one method of computing. In concluding that children of all ages should be proficient with calculators, the NTCM did not intend to rule out other ways of solving problems. Children do need to learn to figure in their heads and do paperwork and pencil, but these methods alone will not meet contemporary needs. Aversion to using calculators in schools contrasts with their general acceptance in the workplace and daily life of adults. Even a part-time job at the corner fast food chain requires the use of calculator in some form. Schools do not teach students to use these devices from an early age, the rising generation will lack necessary work skills. Calculators are one tool almost every employer expects employees to use. Calculators are ubiquitous in the work world and as important for employees as voicemail and word processing. The recent arrival of algebraic calculators offer also symbolic calculus commands which may give rise to anxiety that calculators can be used to obviate important conceptual thinking. However, the case for the use of technology can be summarize this way. In a course where the goal is to teach the calculus, computers or calculators should only be used when there is a sound pedagogical reason for doing so, in which case they should certainly be used. But when used, thought should be given of whether or not they are being used most wisely for the problem at hand. Their proper role is a tool for experimenting, for discovering, for illustrating, or for substantiating. That is, they are to be used for developing institution and insight. They should not be used just so the user can crank out answers to ever larger and more complicated exercises. And now I temporarily close my case. Thank you.
The debater spoke for 4 minutes and 20 seconds. She is on time.
To our dear educators and to our my fellow students, once again, good morning. I am Kristen May Jorford, the Deputy Opposition Leader. With a thin split, human brain has the capacity to solve math problems, especially the grade 10 students who haven't yet encountered higher mathematics. This house believes that using calculator is not allowed by the grade 10 students because we can still solve math problems or equations without the use of calculator. Yes, it is true that using calculator in solving math problems is easier to do. But does this mean that it is more efficient to do so? There are a lot of disadvantages if we're going to use calculator. First, we know that the power and efficiency is completely dependent to the ability of the operator. We need to know the instructions given in the manual, but it is a proven fact that many of us do not bother to read the instructions because we think that we know how to operate it. But the truth is, each brand or model of calculator has a specific instructions. And there are many scenarios where a student can make mistakes, like putting or pressing the wrong buttons, and incorrectly evaluating the brackets, and forgetting to change the mode, incorrectly rounding the values, and more. If we can make even a single mistake, it is more efficient or sufficient enough that our answer will be incorrect. And many of us do not bother to repeat or review our answers. It is also a proven fact that many of the students who are using calculator from young age has reduced the mental computational skills. However, if we're going to solve mentally, we can benefit from it. First, mental calculation sharpens the mind and increases mental agility and intelligence. Those students who solve mentally can invent or create new methods or formulas in solving, thereby developing the natural creativity of a student. Second, mental calculation improves the memory. Memory depreciates if we are not going to exercise or practice our math. Over-relying to calculator results to the student being unable to progress to math due to lack of fluency and recall fact. Third, it promotes confidence because mental calculation sharpens one's mind, and if you're going to practice yourself to solve mentally, you're confident to solve a specific or a certain problem. We don't need to rely or to depend on the calculator because our brain has the capacity to solve math problems. And we haven't yet encountered a higher mathematics. At the end of this day, we believe that calculator is not allowed to use by grade 10 students. And now I'm temporarily close my case. Yes.
calculators and also for other sites. And we believe that at the end of the day, we believe that calculator is beneficial to understand more the underlying structure for the principle of mathematics. Because first the second speaker said that using calculator you may put or pressing wrong button or multiplicity or there is possibility that you may press another button or did not give it. But this using calculators is also like in mental solving because when you putting or when you put or when you press a button in a calculator, they also say in the mental solving because you make sure that your numbers or the button is correct or surely that it was given in the equation. But other side is stated that pressing button is may they have the possibility that you may press the button. But I accept the parameter of this government is acceptable because chemistry and physics are also included mathematics. Like for example the Van Dyke-Boas equation. There is a difficult formulas that may given and also there is difficult value of the variables so that we can use the calculator. And also, we believe that using a calculator is not or may use in this generation or in this greater mathematics because in this greater mathematics there are many difficult equations to answer. And also like for example the algebraic equation and also the functional equation. Like for example in algebraic equation or in the substitution, the given equation is 2x raised to 6 plus 3x raised to 5 plus x raised to 4 plus 2x raised to cube plus 2x squared plus 5x minus 1000. And if the x value is 5, so we can substitute the value of x is 5. So are you sure that in mental solving you can solve that in 2 minutes this equation? Yes. You never solve that in 2 minutes because this case is very long or difficult equation and using a calculator is very good to answer this equation because when you putting that the x is equal to 5, then you substitute that in the x value, you will answer or you will get the answer. And also that many inventors stated that they did not invented the calculator to become people lazy, become people embarrassing to each other, and become people is poor. But inventors used or invented this to sure or to our solving is become faster, our solving is become accurately, and our solving is become surely to put or to answer. And also that there are many kind of calculator that invented of inventors. Like for example, the first calculators that they built in 17th century is abacus. And abacus that moved by the intense desire to simplify the repetitive nature of arithmetical operations. So the first calculators, abacus and solve all numbers. Like for example, the pi. In the 17th centuries, they have no technology that use a machine. But the abacus is the simple machine that they made that they have more bullet or what's called that. And also they have like for example for the kind of calculator is algebraic calculator. The algebraic calculator can solve the equation that difficult and the equation is involved in algebraic equation and graphics in calculators involved in graphical calculators or to get the answer of function and to find the target of each graph. And also, at the end of the day, we believe that calculator is beneficial to understand more of the underlying structure of the principle of mathematics. And I temporarily close my case. Thank you.
The debater spoke for 5 minutes and 27 seconds. He is on time.
Sir, to my fellow classmates and to my opponent, once again, good morning. I am GURO21, the third speaker and the first rebuttal speaker of the opposition side. And we do believe that human brain has the capacity of solving math problems, especially in us grade 10 students, because we haven't yet encountered higher mathematics. With the advent of smartphones, many of us now carry calculators in our pockets wherever we go. However, that doesn't mean students should rely on calculators to do all their mathematical thinking, and it certainly doesn't excuse them from learning basic number facts. As the first speaker of the proposition side said, using calculator is less consuming than using mental ability. First of all, using mental ability comes first. So what are you going to put in that device if you don't know the given yet? And next, the students may be turned off by using mental ability. How can he be or she be turned off if he doesn't know the equation? Then it is more accurate. I believe that it is more accurate because it is scientifically tested. But I believe that using mental ability is more accurate than using calculator because calculators are made by humans and that human has the brain to solve mathematical problem. And as for the second speaker said, she said that calculator improve or enhance the ability of the student to solve mathematics. Well, I believe that it is right. Because first of all, using calculator gives the student no learning concept. As stated, being able to record an answer on a sheet is simple enough. But understanding the underlying concept behind the equation show true understanding and mastery of the mathematical subject. From simple multiplication to the quadratic formula, there is no sense in being able to plug numbers into a computer and write down another number unless you understand what the number represents. Well, by this explanation, calculators are not improving the mathematical ability of the student. Yet, it is discriminating or it lessens the skill building factor of a student in using mathematical equation. For the third speaker, the first rebuttal speaker, he said that the given equation, he said that there is an equation, right? Well, actually, that given equation can be solved in 2 minutes by using the formula that the mathematicians invented. And he said that abacus are used to simplify. Then our motion is physical. Then the first he said that it is used to lessen the time. And third is that pi was discovered by Einstein in order to solve the circumference of a circle more easier. It is not invented past or 17th century, but it is invented or discovered when Einstein pointed the point or the center of the circle at the mountain foci. And now, for more info, complacency, although calculators are able to quick add, divide, multiply, and subtract, students still can't use calculator. As their complete fallback plan, they still need to know how to do math longhand. And at the end of the day, I do believe that we grade 10 students should not use calculator because human brain has the capacity to solve math problems, especially as grade 10 students haven't yet encountered higher mathematics. And I temporarily rest my case.
The debater spoke for 4 minutes and 14 seconds. He is on time.
Good morning to everyone. I am Jennifer D. Santua, the fourth speaker of the government side. This house believes that calculator is beneficial to understand more of the underlying structure of the mathematical principle. Using calculator does not make the user or the student weak because this simple machinery device is invented to allow students to spend less calculation and more time on understanding and solving the problems. Do you think you're not using your critical thinking while using calculator? If then, how can you press the button without thinking what are you inputting to? For what the second speaker of the opposition side said earlier, the student may mistakenly press the wrong button that rely wrong answers. May I question you, is the calculator responsible for that mistake? How do we know that the calculator is telling us the truth? Numbers don't lie, but humans make meaning of these numbers and hope to ascertain how they apply in the context given. If we rely solely on the calculators without giving much thought to the number we've put down, or simply assuming the calculator is always right, then we end up with everything from wrong answers. Do you think it's the calculator's fault? It's the user's fault for not putting the correct digits or operation. Calculators are tools to help solve problems, not the solver of the problem itself. Our students need to develop a sense of numeracy that allows them to estimate the distance between two numbers or two items, for example. Blaming the calculator for getting the wrong results or wrong answers of the calculation is a dangerous proposition of the non-thinker. The user is the one who input the number or operation needed. We need a healthy balance of working within the number system and doing more complex problems. We need to let calculators serve their purpose. Their purpose is to help students develop better number sense and allow students to study mathematical concepts they could not attempt if they had to perform the related calculation themselves. How could calculator use benefit students? When students do not have to worry about computation mistakes, they can focus on reasoning and problem solving. Teachers can help students see patterns, check estimate against reality, and solve complex problems, like those encountered in daily life through the structured use of calculators. At the end of the day, we believe that calculator is beneficial to understand more of the underlying structure of the principle of the mathematics. Now, I temporarily rest my case.
The debate was both.
Well, a pleasant morning to each and everyone. And I'm here to rebuild my opposition side, which is my side, and rebut all the argument from the government side. First of all, this house believes that grade 10 students are not allowed to use calculators because our opposition side believes that human brains has the capacity to solve math problems, especially in grade 10 students who haven't yet encountered higher mathematics. If we are the grade 10 students who are used to using calculators instead of solving the problems, defining, simplifying, etc., manually, that would not require a lot of work. It prevents you from doing the critical thinking necessary to do more complex calculations, and the students who use a calculator are generally weaker at analyzing their answer to make sure it makes sense. By the fourth speaker said that the calculator are always right. It is only a device, and some things are making errors. may give you a false sense of confidence in our calculation abilities if the students become more used to calculators. To conduct mathematically arithmetic calculations such as adding, multiplying, taking the square root, etc., if you were to be able to use a calculation more than we already know, do in our higher levels mathematics as we are a graded students, that in many cases would remove any need for the students to actually learn the math being done and simply type the problem in calculator, possibly without even knowing how it was done. So, the calculators become a crutch and the students have weak arithmetic skills as a result of the calculator do the mathematical heavy lifting. As what I said, the human brain has the capacity to solve math problems, most especially in graded students who haven't yet encountered higher mathematics. And for now, I temporarily rest my case.
Everyone in us. I am Joseph S. Baluyo Jr. as the fifth speaker of the government side. The first speaker of the opposition side said that calculator is not applicable for us because the critical thinking is already can solve the mathematical problems. But we should consider that not all of us is not good in mathematics. And the second speaker said that human brain has a capacity to solve a mathematical problems. And we are not only focusing that the calculator can solve the problem, but we are also taking advantage that calculator can use to invalidating work. Especially, calculators are fast and accurate, which makes them a great complementary for the students. For instance, you might have students complete a set of problems and then check to see if they've gotten them right on their calculator. Calculators are great for this purpose. Invalidating work. That is the main purpose of calculator. They've said that calculator can reduce the critical thinking of a human being. But we should also remember that in using a calculator, we should also know the given of a problem. And to get the correct given of a problem, we should understand the problem so that we can get the correct result. And the third speaker said that we are not already encounter a higher mathematics. Maybe it is not a higher mathematics for you, but we should also consider the lower level, which is not good in mathematics. Mathematics is really a difficult subject. Math is tedious and might not be everyone's favorite subject. But calculators can help for this because calculators can give an enjoyment for those people that is boredom in the mathematics. Because in pressing a button in the calculators, it is really enjoyable because you are using your capability to think. And as the fourth speaker said, that the calculator can commit the wrong answer. But the calculator, we are really strongly disagree for that statement because the calculator cannot commit a wrong answer, but the user itself. The calculator is perfectly made in solving, but the user itself is not really perfect. We should accept that. And we stand that really calculator can help
for not only for the students and also for the teachers to encourage the students to learn, and because of the calculators, the teachers can encourage the students to give them an enjoyment using the calculators and pressing the buttons of the calculators. At the end of the day, we believe that calculators is beneficial to understanding and underlying structure of the principle of the mathematics. And we state that calculators is not only talking all about the solving and also about the critical thinking. And now, I temporarily close my case.
In this class, most have cell phones. Since the speaker of the government side said that it's enjoyable, but how ironic for us because it is not enjoyable because we are being time pressured, which we never think clearly and possibly cannot get the correct and accurate answer, which rebuts its accuracy. Second, it's the writing skills. What is the use of our quality teacher, our parents, and the 10 years spent in elementary and here in high school if we never think wise and never manage to solve simple problems in grade 10 mathematics? Which rebuts its confidence in thinking. If we ourselves is reducing our confidence, how could we step here in front and solve the problems in the blackboard? Of course, it is the result of using calculator. Calculator is a device in which we use to get the correct answer. But it is never being so because our mind is being pressured and never ready to handle it. If we use calculator, we not only hindrance ourselves in accepting mathematical problems, but in doing so, we are vulnerable to being incapable of solving simple ones. Like here, number 7, using mental to manage the calculator in validating problems. The calculator never validates anything if the manipulator is not ready itself. How could we manage the calculator if we are never ready to solve anything unless we are being tarnished into a great mathematician in our time? How simple is our mathematics time? It's simple if we are ready to calculate in our mind. As they say, if we are being managers to being a great solver, we ourselves could solve simple problems if we never use calculator. Take for example, because in a parameter, it says that it's universal. So, let's take it in the foreign country. For example, in Thailand, students there in elementary already solve algebra, arithmetic, and geometry. And I take that as an example because my aunt is a teacher there, and her students could solve one problem in 10 seconds only, and not any one of her students is never using a calculator, which made them a great country in mathematics. Which the only problem is they couldn't speak well, they couldn't speak well in English. That is why their mathematics skills is being hindrance them to be known worldwide. And now, at the end of this debate, I strongly believe that
Fifth speaker said a while ago that using a calculator can give student pressure because of pressing the button. How about mental solving? How about mental solving? Is this not can give us pressure?
That is why if we are ready to handle problems mentally, we could be time pressure invulnerable. Did I answer?
No.
And now, as I speak, I believe that we will win. And still standing on the motion, grade 10 students are not allowed to use calculator in mathematics with the reason human brain has the capacity to solve math problems, most especially in higher.
Good morning, teacher and everyone, especially to our beloved educator and to my co-debater. I am Alice G. Caldemon and I am the rebuttal whip of the government side. So before I start with my argument, I just want to ask several questions for us to think further about this issue. First question are, did the calculator made to cause harm or negative to the one who used it? And I think it's not. The inventor itself made it calculator, and the inventor itself has no purpose that his invention will be cause negative, will be cause danger or harm to the one who used this device. The second question is why the opposition side strongly disagree the use of calculator inside the classroom. If the calculator, if the inventor itself has no purpose, that his invention will be cause harm or danger. So we can conclude that there is no problem in the calculator. The problem is the one or the student who used that calculator. At the end, we believe that calculator is beneficial to understand the underlying structure of the principle of mathematics. Actually, calculator allows students access mathematical concepts and experiences from which they were previously limited by paper and ball pen. And calculator make possible mathematical experimentation, exploration, and enhancement of learning mathematical concepts. That's why the United States of America, which is one of the developed countries in the world. Sorry, I'm not finished.
So, are you opening a new argument for us to rebut?
Yes. I'm just now rebutting. I am rebuilding the case of my side. So, let's continue. So that's why the United States of America, one of the developed countries in the world, which the National Council of Teachers of Mathematics and various organizations and individuals recommends that appropriate calculator at every grade level calculator being made available for use by students. So how can that be? If there is a problem with the calculator, despite the extensive research documenting the benefits of calculator, there are still skeptics, which is the opposition side. They're still they're worried about the use of calculator may impair the mathematical ability and result increasing mathematical illiteracy. And actually, all of their arguments are all policy of presumption. They're always presuming if the student uses calculator, there will be the effect. Will be the effect without any scientific evidence. But there is a research documenting that prove our argument that there's more benefit use calculator. But the reality, however, said that calculator are valuable that allows students to reach the higher level of mathematics understanding and power. In the past was spent more on learning and performing with tedious paper and ballpen, and now in grade 10 mathematics, which include arithmetic and algebraic algorithm, calculator used today that allows student and teacher to spend more time developing mathematical understanding, reasoning, number sense, and application. And just remember, we are now in the 21st education. And now I permanently close the case.
So, good morning everyone. I am Randy Fajardo, the last rebuttal speaker of the opposition. And this house believes that grade 10 students are not allowed to use calculators because human brains has the capacity to solve math problems, especially to us, the grade 10 students who haven't encountered higher mathematics. So first and foremost, the speaker of the other side said that we are not all genius. We have no ability to solve problems. Yes, I admit the fact that I am not that smart in mathematics, but why I can solve those problems presented by our qualified teachers mentally by myself. Why I can solve those problems? Saying to you that mathematicians made those formula for us to solve problems easier, and there is no qualified mathematics teacher. They are not being called as the qualified teachers if they could not teach us accurately with these problems. Second, as I spoke about the formula presented by the mathematicians and the qualified teachers, I want you to tell, in our present status, our status quo today speaks that we as the grade 10 students, we as the grade 10 students, we even don't use calculators because we can solve these problems presented to us mentally. Is this the quality of education we are asking by using calculator? My God, what ironic is that? As the last speaker of the government said that he asked us whether what would be the harm or the negative effects of using calculator. Well, I will tell you that if someday I will be a teacher and I practice myself using calculator, and if I will be a teacher in mathematics, do I teach my students using calculators or the formula? I think that I should use the formula because formula is better than the calculators. Yes?
How can you justify that National Council of Teachers of Mathematics in the United States recommend the appropriate use of calculator if there is a problem in the calculator?
Well, first and foremost, you rebuild your case with the United States as one of the most developed country. But either one of your teammates do not involve the developed country, USA, so I think that's a new argument. I'm so sorry, let me proceed to my argument. Next is that there are some formulas that we cannot apply to calculators. Admit it or not, there are some formulas made by us which we cannot apply to calculators. We are just using our mental capabilities for us to solve. The other team also spoke that we are only focusing to the harmful effects or what will happen if we will use calculator. Admitting yourself, you are also saying what would be the good implications if you use calculator. So it's not your power to say that we are just stating what would be the implications. Next, the third speaker of the government said that calculators are. He said that we say that calculators are made to make people lazy. Well, we even don't say that these calculators are made for us people become lazy, right? Because we're just saying what would be the negative effects if we use calculators. But that being lazy by the person, we never say that. Yes?
Can you give an insight or a proof or a research that may prove your arguments?
Well, if I will give it, you are asking me the proof. I am telling you, we are here as a grade 10 students. Do we ever use calculators? Right? We are using our mental ability. We have this, excuse me, we have these qualified teachers. We have this formula used. Well, excuse me, I'm still speaking. You might ask that later. And personally, I say, as a Filipino, some isolated areas here in the Philippines, students do not have calculator. So they are using their mind for them to solve mathematically their mental capabilities. They don't have that money because they are in an isolated areas. It makes them more smart with these mathematical mathematical problems. And the other speaker of the government side that if we will only focus on problem solving, students will just learn how to reason out, how to solve problems. Well, first and foremost, what is the purpose of mathematics? For us to reason out the answer that we made using our mind. And of course, problem solving. It's already common to us. I'll not say about very extravagant with this problem solving because we are doing this. And lastly, at the end of the day, I believe that this house will win because human brain has the capacity to solve math problems, most especially in grade 10, who haven't yet encountered higher mathematics. And now, dear educators, I temporarily rest my case.
Sige, palakpak, palakpak.
He is on task.
Yes, sir, yes, sir, yes.
I am the reply speaker of the opposition side. I'm here to prove that the end of this day, of this debate, we will win because we are produced our clash. We produce our clash and make the debate more entertaining. We always state our team split and after our argument and we stated our argument clearly and elaborated it well. Unlike the speaker of the government side, who didn't state their team split after their argument, and they already made the parameters mistakenly about the science of chemistry, which is not included in our motion. Like what the last speaker asked a while ago, he said that what if there's a problem in the calculator? Then what he had said contradicts the idea of the fourth speaker, which she said that it is not the calculator's fault, it is the solver. And at the end of this debate, we believe that we will win this. And we believe that human brains have the capacity to solve mathematical problems, especially in us grade 10 students who haven't yet encountered higher mathematics. And now I permanently close our case.
To everyone else, I you again, Mr. James Parliamentary, representing as the reply speaker of the government side, strongly and firmly believes that this house will use calculator for grade 10 mathematics. So I believe that this debate goes like that. We have given the facts and all the proof arguments, and all of the opposition's arguments was just a fallacy or just a false accusation of what the calculators is been doing or what or how calculators produce students. So based on their arguments, they are just they doesn't prove their point, and they don't face our POIs or our question regarding their arguments, and so that's why this goes to show that they are afraid of our arguments that they don't prove their arguments with specific of insight. That's why we do believe that at the end of the day, there's no doubt that we will win this debate, and we believe that at the end of the day, using calculators is beneficial for more understanding of the principle of mathematics, and we have given you the proofs, a good proofs that will help you, that will prove our points, and we have a research document and arguments that will present a fact and not a presumption, and that's why. At the end of the day, we believe that we will. There's no doubt that we will win this debate. And now, we permanently close our case.
My comment about the debate does using calculators is advisable to grade 10 students in mathematics. Before anything else, I want to congratulate all the debaters for sharing their views and opinions accurately and knowledgeably.
the government or the proposition side, first speaker had given the parameter, but the opposition side didn't accept the parameter of the government side because they include chemistry and physics. The third speaker of the government side doesn't introduce himself to the class. Their last speaker also elaborate their views very well and points out the opposition's arguments are all policies. The opposition side's fourth speaker is under time, and their fifth speaker or rebuttal opposed the government side very well, and she was able to answer the POI of the government side that made her over time. The last speaker of the opposition side argument is very well said, and opposing the other side very well. Even if the government side is still good, but for me, I will strongly be with the opposition side because they elaborated their arguments very well. Thank you.
My comment to both sides, I can say that they are good speakers and has accurate knowledge about their topic. I am blessed brother now. I will give my comment. In the proposition or government side, I could say that the second speaker of the government side didn't elaborate well her arguments. Then their third speaker did not introduce himself, and in the opposition side, for the fourth speaker, the rebuttal speaker of the opposition, he is under time, so later next time we must consume or balance his time, add more information about the topic. I could favor for the opposite side because their points are well elaborated. Now I congratulate you all, Jabal Dan.
First and foremost, good morning. I am Alea Ahmad, and I would like to congratulate the debaters because they did a great job. As what I've seen earlier, the speakers are all good, and they have a concrete ideas in this discussion. Every side was very convincing, and they have their words that can turn my thought in other face and enlighten my mind of when I should use calculator. And I believe that in the end of the day, sometimes we can use calculator and sometimes we don't need to use calculator. It depends on the topic that the teacher given to us.
My name is Sheena Sequento. I'm one of the commentators of this debate. Okay, before anything else, I just want to congratulate both of you. You did a great job. But I just want to say that both of you have a strong point, so that I'm so confused. But for me, the point that was stated elaborately and clearly was the government side. No Again, no bias. Because I really appreciate their being considerate to the lower sections and grade and having a good manner. And also, I appreciate the speaker on the government side that cite example to strongly stated his point. And I also consider the undertime and overtime of the non-government group. But so far, they did a great job. That's all.
Good morning, everyone. Once again, first of all, I would like to congratulate both sides with a successful event. In my view, both sides raised their arguments clearly and wisely, but in my part, some of the opposition side doesn't answer accurately. Some of the POI raised by the government side. In my view, the strongest point raised in this debate belongs to the government side. And choose the government side. Thank you.
Everyone, I am Perla Masugod, standing in front of you as the last commentator.
First of all, I want to congratulate each debaters of government and opposition sides. You did a great job. The debaters gave the information and data about the motion accurately. Both sides was convincing and they have their insights about the motion. So, I strongly agree with the government side that students should use calculator at the end of the day, because not all students is good in mathematics, so they are allowed to use calculator. And you are already using your critical thinking in solving a certain problem using calculator. Lastly, it is not the responsible of the calculator for the wrong answer, but the user itself as responsible for it.
So, before I give you my oral adjudication, I would just first like to ask, what is the structure of each team? Because I presume this is Asian's part. No, pero quite revised because you have 3 rebuttal speakers.
Yes,
4. You have the first speaker, second speaker, and the rest are whips. Okay. So your motion is using calculator is, this house believes that using calculator is advisable to grade 10 students. Your debate is a value judgment debate, okay? So in a value judgment debate, both houses should first set a standard on how to qualify how can calculator be advisable for use by grade 10 students. Unfortunately, both of the houses failed to give us this, okay? Both of the houses did not give us any standard. So, I just let it be, okay? And continue on considering the points of each speaker. So, we proceed with how you frame the debate. So, I adjudicated your debate based on technicality and substance. So, first, let's discuss the technicality. So, the government side of the House has the job of giving us the burden of proof. Prove to us that the calculator is really advisable for use among grade 10 students. While the opposition has the job to give us the job of burden of clash. You should clash with the point of the government. Whatever the points the government are giving the House, you should be clashing with them. Okay? So let's start. For the first speaker, I appreciate how you structured the debate. You started the debate good because you've given us the parameters, the definition, the theme line, and the proper split of your team's arguments. Okay? However, I am quite having a problem with how you give us your arguments because you have good points there, only they are not well substantiated. Okay? That's the problem. On the opposition, I have a big problem on how the first speaker of the opposition started the debate because she actually challenged the definition of the first speaker by not accepting the parameter. Because the parameter of the first speaker, he included the chemistry and some other relevant subjects in the debate. And apparently, the first speaker of the opposition did not accept this. In such cases like that, once you did not accept the parameter, you should have given us an alternative definition. But since, okay, I just consider that you are not really well versed in debating, so hindi ko na lang siya tinouch. Okay? So you proceeded given that you did not accept the parameter. Okay. As to the second speaker, technicalities pa rin, DPM, government, you were reading, okay? The problem with reading is you cannot anymore ascertain which among those facts are relevant to your points, okay, to your stand. So I noticed that you've mentioned a lot of things which have no direct importance on what you are defending there, okay? So your points are vague kasi nga you were reading. When you debate kasi, you speak while you think. You read, you may read, but you don't read at all times, okay? So, what happened is, because you were reading, your points are vague, and you have not given any implications. You have good points there, only no implications. So what, if that's the point? What will happen? Okay? So, walang ganon. Sa opposition naman, the deputy opposition leader gave good points. Only, still the problem is they are not well substantiated. Later on, I will talk about the substance. On the points that you were talking there in front, I will give you the standing points, but let's just first talk about the technicalities. Third speaker of the government. This is already the first rebuttal speaker. You actually gave good points in the debate. I appreciate you, how you presented your points, because they are not rehashed. You think for yourselves, you give us new concepts, and you affirm the parameter of the first speaker, saying that it is actually relevant. So you gave me the impression that the parameter is really important, notwithstanding the unacceptance of the first speaker of the opposition. Okay? Third speaker of the opposition. You raised some unnecessary points, although you gave also good points, but some of the points you raised didn't have really a good connection with your major point. And your relevant points were left unexplained. Well, okay? These are just comments, huh? Don't take them seriously. Okay. Fourth speaker of the government. What I appreciate in this house is that your rebuttals are most of the time fresh. They are not merely rehashed. You are introducing us new concepts. Okay? So, for the fourth speaker, you have new rebuttals there. You were rebutting the same point, the point of the opposition, but you are attacking it in your own way. Okay? You are giving us new concept on how to view the point of the opposition differently. Okay? Although your point is also not well explicated and the structure is not so good. For the opposition, the job of the fourth speaker is to rebut. You rebutted, but the rebuttals are quite rehashed because it's quite the same. Okay, but still you rebutted the points of the government. Later on, you will see whether or not your rebuttals did really trim down or did really defeat the point of the government. Next, for the fifth speaker of the government, still new way of rebutting. So you raised one POI, fifth speaker of the government. You said that mental math causes pressure. Okay, and you've given us a new way of looking at the point of the opposition. For the fifth speaker, this was Una. The fifth speaker of the opposition gave us good rebuttals and good structure. And the example of Thailand is actually good. Only these are not really substantiated. Okay? But among the rebuttal speakers, you are one of those who have given us a good structure of rebutting the case of the government. And lastly, for the sixth speaker of the government, among the rebuttal speakers of the government, you are the one I really appreciated the most because you are the one who have given the government the standing point. Ibig sabihin, this was the point which was left unrebutted by the opposition. Okay, so you were the one who offered the House the standing point of the government. So I praise your rebuttals. Only the structure has still to be improved. Okay, and the substantiation still has to be improved. And for the last speaker of the opposition, good rebuttals. I can say that you are good in public speaking. You have the confidence. Only your rebuttals were already mentioned by the previous speakers. Okay, it's the same thing. It's the same concept. Okay, although these are good. These are also good ideas of presenting your point. Okay, as the opposition. Only it's quite a rehash. Alright, so as to substance, burden of proof versus burden of clash. So, The point of the opposition is that mental math is better than calculators because mental math will give students more skills and this will sharpen more the minds of our students. Aside from that, I am just mentioning the major arguments of your team. So that's the first one. The second and the last major argument I've noticed in the whole of the debate for your team is that we have enough training. We have teachers, qualified teachers. The formulas given to us are aiding us to solve the problems by ourselves, and the learnings we get from our classrooms are enough, okay, for us to solve mentally whatever problem math is giving us. So yun yung point ng opposition. Sa government naman, calculator is a tool. Okay? Calculator is helping us solve our problems. And with calculators, the students are actually given lesser time to to check the accuracy of the solving. And they are given more time to analyze. Okay? To analyze the problem, to see if the answer is relevant. Okay? Meaning to say, the students are given more time to see things for themselves. If the problem is really answered, to analyze the different phases of the problem and see whether or not the calculation has really given solution to that problem. Meaning to say, self-realizations for the part of the student. So, I noticed that unfortunately, the opposition hasn't really rebutted well the major points of the government. The starting point of the government is that enough time for the students to realize for themselves the solution for the problems, and that calculators are tools. And the USA, professors, experts are actually advising that there should be an appropriate use of calculators in every grade. So that point actually already defeated your point that we have enough training from our academics. When in fact, experts are advising to use this because these are tools. Okay? Kuha niyo yun? So the government have two standing points, and that's experts themselves advise us to use this because these are aids. Second is that it helps the student, it gives students more time to realize the solutions for the problems by themselves. Okay? And I guess that's more relevant and more realistic when it comes to looking at the motion, okay, on whether or not calculators are advisable for students. So, I am giving my favor to the
you for your expertise, I should say. Although there are still bigger space in the room for improvement, especially for other participants in which today is their first time, should I say. Alright. Now, I think I do not really need to explain further because Miss Sarah here has shown more expertise in adjudicating than I do. However, okay, I do like some of the participants, especially from the government side. I appreciated the performance of Aris and Junie. On their side, I would choose Mr. Caldemon as the best speaker. However, on the other side, what really made the team become it's like they really started to become eager in giving their opinions. Well, what raises their energy was when Una stood up. Okay, and supported, sustained by Randy. Okay. So we can tell that both of them really gave or showed, good or much better performance in the course of the debate. I do not need also to elaborate the substance of your debate, because you only stick to, it's like you only stick to that one argument of the government. So the opposition failed, should I say, in clashing their opinion. So as for me, the winner for this debate, or the best team for me, is the government.
Video ne, video.
Once again, good morning. I congratulate all the debaters for
Sige lang.
And I give thanks to also to our educators for their
Pinapakita mo
time
na
and
pagpatin.
efforts, to Ma'am Sara and to Ma'am Baini, and also to the efforts of Sir, our advisor, Sir Pete Villa, for the